Let me tell you something most people won't admit to themselves. You're not stuck because you don't work hard enough. You're stuck because you keep making decisions that feel safe instead of decisions that actually move your life forward. Safe feels good in the moment. Safe feels responsible. Safe feels mature. But safe has a ceiling, and once you hit it, everything starts to feel heavier. Progress slows down. Motivation fades. You start telling yourself stories about how this is just how life is. It's not. It's how life looks when you keep choosing comfort over growth. Think about how often you hesitate, not because something is impossible, but because it costs money, effort, or the risk of looking stupid if it doesn't work. You pause, you overthink, you delay, and you call that patience, but deep down it's avoidance. You don't need more motivation. You need a different relationship with money and risk. Because right now, money feels like something you're afraid to lose instead of something you're supposed to use. And that fear is quietly dictating your entire future. Every time an opportunity shows up, you run it through the same filter. How much does it cost? What if it doesn't work? What if I regret it? What if I waste money? But you almost never ask the opposite questions. What if this saves me years? What if this changes how I think? What if this puts me in a different room with different people? What if the cost of doing nothing is actually higher? Because it is. Doing nothing has a cost. Staying the same has a cost. Waiting until you feel ready has a cost. It just doesn't show up on your bank statement, so you pretend it's free. It's not free. You're paying with time. You're paying with missed chances. You're paying with the version of yourself that never shows up. And the scariest part? You get used to it. You normalize it. You start adjusting your dreams downwards so they fit your comfort zone. You don't even realize you're doing it. You tell yourself you're being realistic, but realism without ambition is just disguised fear. Look around. Most people aren't building lives they're proud of. They're managing stress, they're surviving weeks, they're counting days, and they think that's normal because everyone else around them is doing the same thing. But normal doesn't mean right. At some point, you have to stop optimizing for being cheap and start optimizing for being effective. You have to stop asking how to minimize cost and start asking how to maximize return, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, strategically. The people who change their lives aren't reckless. They are intentional. They spend with purpose. They invest before they feel fully ready. They trust that growth will force them to level up. You don't grow first and then invest. You invest and growth is demanded of you. That's the part nobody talks about. Growth isn't comfortable. It's inconvenient. It stretches you. It exposes gaps in your skills, your confidence, your discipline. That's why most people avoid it. They'd rather stay in situations they understand, even if they hate them. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar potential. So you keep repeating patterns that don't work because at least you know how they end. Let me ask you something honestly. When was the last time you bet on yourself in a real way? Not a small, safe bet, a real one. Something that forced you to take responsibility for your outcome instead of blaming circumstances. If it's been a long time, that's not an accident. You've trained yourself to prioritize short-term comfort over long-term leverage. And leverage is what changes everything. Leverage is skills that pay you back for years. Leverage is connections that open doors you can't open alone. Leverage is systems that work while you sleep. None of that comes from being cheap. It comes from being strategic. Saving money won't save you. Avoiding risk won't protect you. Playing small won't keep you safe. It will just keep you average. And average is exhausting. It's exhausting to work hard and still feel behind. It's exhausting to be busy but not fulfilled. It's exhausting to know you're capable of more but never quite reaching it. That exhaustion isn't from effort. It's from stagnation. You're tired because you're not moving forward in a meaningful way. Here's what changes things. You start asking better questions. Instead of, can I afford this? You ask, does this help me become more capable? Instead of what's the cheapest option, you ask what's the option that actually solves the problem. Because cheap solutions rarely solve anything. They delay, they patch, they keep you circling the same issues over and over again. Real solutions feel expensive at first, until you realize how much they save you in the long run. And yes, you might make mistakes. You might spend money on something that doesn't pan out exactly how you expected. That's part of the process. That's called learning. And learning compounds faster than savings ever will. People who win aren't the ones who never mess up. They're the ones who move, adjust, and move again. They don't freeze. They don't wait for perfect clarity. They create clarity through action. You don't need certainty. You need courage. Courage to spend when it matters. Courage to invest in yourself before the results are guaranteed. Courage to stop hiding behind the excuse of being careful. Because being careful can quietly become a cage. And one day you wake up and realize years have passed and nothing has changed except your tolerance for dissatisfaction. You don't want that. You want momentum. You want progress you can feel. You want to look back and know you took chances, made moves, and built something that didn't exist before. That starts with a decision, not a big dramatic one, a simple one. You stop letting fear make your financial decisions. You decide that your growth is worth investing in, that your future deserves more than leftovers, that comfort is no longer your highest priority. And once you make that shift, everything changes. The way you think, the way you choose, the way you show up. You stop asking how little you can give and start asking how much you can become. And that question will take you places cheap thinking never could. If you want, I can write another version that's more aggressive, more story-based, or tailored to a specific audience like young men, entrepreneurs, or people stuck in 9-to-5s. Just tell me the vibe and I'll sharpen it.